Dear learners, I welcome you to today's session on group performance. The learning objectives of the session are to understand the meaning of performance, to understand the group performance model, to know about the various ways to improve group performance, to know about how to maximize group performance through group roles. Now comes meaning of performance. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, performance is about how well a person, machine, etc. does a piece of work or an activity. As per Webster Dictionary, performance is about execution of action. Performance of a group consists of the inputs of the group minus any process loss that results in the final output, like the quality of a product and the ramp up time to production or the sales for a given period of time. Process loss is any aspect of group interaction that inhibits good problem solving. Dear learners, for group performance, the unit of analysis is group, and for individual performance, the unit of analysis is individual. Once the groups are formed, it happens that some group performs well, whereas some groups do not perform well. This happens because there are several factors both within and outside the groups that affects its performance. So, group performance is contingent upon a number of factors. Let us understand the various factors which affect group performance through the group performance model. This model represents that group performance is based on external conditions, internal conditions comprising of group structure, group resources and group process. Let us take these one by one. First is external conditions. A group is a part of large organization. They are created by the organization and as such they do not exist in isolation. A group has to work within the framework provided by the organization. Therefore, every group is influenced by a number of external conditions imposed from outside. These external conditions include the organization strategy, its rules, regulations, its culture, physical work settings, employee selection process, etc. Now, the next is group structure. A group has a well-defined structure. Groups have structures that shape the behavior of its members and make it possible to predict and explain the individual behavior within the group as well as the performance of the group as a whole. Some of the structural components of group are group size. What is group size? A minimum of 3 persons are required to form a group. In case of the small group, the maximum number should be around 15. In small groups, the groups should have as many members as can interact meaningfully amongst one another. The group size should be determined by taking in consideration factors such as nature of tasks to be performed, the maturity of the group, etc. The next component of group structure is group composition. A group comprises of a number of individuals with varied qualities and characteristics. In fact, most of the group activities require a variety of skills and knowledge. As far as group composition is concerned, a group may be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous groups are those which are composed of similar individuals, similar in terms of personality, age, gender, experience, knowledge, etc. Heterogeneous groups, on the other hand, are the ones which comprise of dissimilar individuals, that is, the individuals who differ from one another in one way or the other. In some types of tasks, homogeneous groups could not be more appropriate, while in other types, heterogeneous group could be more appropriate. Now, Group status. The term group status refers to the relative ranking that a person holds being a member of the group. Status is in fact defined in terms of rights, privileges, duties and obligations the individual holds in a group. Status is determined in the context relative to the other groups. Now, the group norms. Group norms are the informal guidelines of behavior which usually develop gradually and informally as group members interact, experience, understand, and learn as to what behaviors are necessary for the group to function effectively. Though not rigid, but these group norms are expected to be followed by every group member as these give collective identification to the culture of a group. Group norms provide order and conformity to group activities. The examples of group norms may include inviting for high tea to all group members by a peer who has gotten promotion, offering sweets to co-workers in case of some professional achievement, adhering to the norm of being on time for a meeting, wearing formal dress in case of making some presentations, etc. Group norms give consistency in behavior of the group members, and this consistency helps to render predictability of the group's overall behavior. Predictability reduces chaos and ambiguity and conflict. Now comes the group resources. By the term group resources, we mean the resources that an individual member brings to the group. The group performance to a large extent depends upon the resources of its members. These resources may be categorized into two sets. The first set includes knowledge, skills, efficiency and capability. And the second set is with respect to the personality characteristics, and it includes openness, honesty, dominance, extrovertness, etc. Both these resources strongly affect the group performance by influencing how an individual will interact with other group members. The next is about group process. This is a very important component in a group performance model. A group process can be simply defined as systematic method of handling activities. Some of these processes that affect group performance include the communication patterns, leader behavior, group decision making, intergroup behavior, group cohesiveness, etc. The group processes may have a positive or at times even a negative impact on the group performance. The group process may at times lead to synergy, whereby the groups can create output much greater than the sum of their inputs. The negative aspect is best depicted by social loafing, which represents negative synergy. That is, the output is much less than the sum of inputs. The impact of group process on the group performance to a great deal depends upon the task that the group is doing. Thus, group performance is an output which is based on the input of the external conditions, internal conditions comprising of group structure, group resources and group processes. Now, I shall take up the ways to improve productivity. The first one is setting appropriate goals. Dear learners, goals are the very reasons for any organization to exist. Individuals group together as an organization to achieve certain goals. Goals give direction for performing activities which yield results as contribution to the attainment of the goals. It is in the planning stage of the organization structure, that is when goals are set. What is expected and what is to be done and in what time. Ambiguous goals creates confusion and no clarity, which waste resources like material, time and effort. One potential problem associated with setting goals is that the goals may turn out to be too difficult. If the goals that are set are too difficult to actually be reached, or if the group perceives that they are too high even if they are not, the group may become demoralized and reduce its productivity. Therefore, clear and unambiguous goals should be also realistic in nature. Therefore, clear and unambiguous goals should be also realistic in nature. Next is motivating groups. Learners, in spite of having the competent group members, there can be chances that the workers recruited may be having some inhibition towards their 100% work performance. This may be due to some organizational reasons or due to some personal reasons. In order to remove such bottlenecks in the work performance of the group members, the leader of the group needs to motivate the group members by clearing their doubts and sometimes fueling them with encouragements through verbal appreciations or through reward-based systems. Corporations reward their employees with raises and bonuses if they perform well. However, although incentives may increase the effort of the individual group members and thus enhance group performance, they also have some potential disadvantages for group process. Rewards induce the group members to make comparison of their performance with those of who gets rewards. There are two types of comparisons, namely upward social comparison and downward social comparison. Upward social comparison happens when individuals would use their co-workers as positive role models, which would inspire them to work harder. For example, when corporations set up Employee of the Week programs which reward excellence on the part of individual group members, they are attempting to develop this type of positive comparison. Downward social comparison happens if group members believe that others are being rewarded more than they deserve. Then they may change their behavior to attempt to restore equity. This may demotivate and make them sulk. Improving communication and information sharing is the next point. There is need of constant interaction among group members for the group to be functional. Only social interaction is not enough. When there is no exchange or sharing of information, hiding important only social interaction is not enough. When there is no exchange, may affect the process of coordination and therefore the pace of working and consequently the productivity. Information sharing can be ensured through the structured design of the organization and the official rules and regulations. The culture of an organization is also influential in information sharing. For instance, the culture of providing adequate time for brainstorming before reaching at any decision in the decision-making process encourages proper information sharing rather than rushing at the decision hurriedly. One approach to increasing full discussion of the issues is to have the group break up into smaller subgroups for discussion. This technique increases the amount of discussion and allows more group members to air more ideas. In some decision-making groups, it is standard practice to set up several independent groups that consider the same question, each carrying on its deliberations under a separate leader. The subgroups then meet together to make the final decision. Diversity and similarity in group members. This is another point. Learners, group is comprised of different individuals who work for the attainment of common set of organizational objectives. The group members of diverse cognitive abilities or competencies bring in varied levels of talents. As diverse group is able to take advantage of the wider range of resources, ideas, and viewpoints that diversity provides. This attributes to factors like informed and deep discussion of the issues and therefore improved critical and creative thinking. However, group members having common personality attributes to some extent is appreciable as this brings common interests, beliefs and values. This similarity helps in the coordination and cohesiveness among group members. Learners, now let us see how to maximize group performance through group roles. Group roles are the important parts to be played as being member of the group. Group is an aggregation of human beings. This is natural that a group offers a setting wherein individuals have to work together for common cause. Working together is sometimes challenging as people tend to sometimes work with people having different personalities and competencies. Moreover, work group does not start working on its own unless there is some structure. In context of organizational structure, structure is the pattern of relationships among various activities and positions. Since these positions are held by various persons, the structure is the relationship among people in the organization who perform various roles. Group structuring, however, in case of small groups can be done by assigning roles to each member of the group based upon individual strength. The proper performance of the roles assigned to the group members can help ensure performance of the group. The four core roles for group performance to be discussed are leader or facilitator, arbitrator or monitor, note taker or timekeeper, and devil's advocate. Let's start with leader or facilitator. The role of the leader or facilitator is performed well when a person performing this role clarifies the goals of the group and helps the group to set sub-goals at the beginning of each meeting. Sub-goals should serve as an agenda of issues that need to be addressed during the meeting. The leaders make sure that all group members understand the concepts and the group's conclusion. He starts the meetings, introduces each topic and keeps the group on task and oriented towards its goal. He ensures that the group completes its tasks before deadlines. Arbitrator and monitor, the next role. The role of an arbitrator or monitor is performed well when the person observes group functioning carefully and initiates regular discussion on group climate and process, especially if he or she senses tension or conflict being brewed. During disagreements or conflicts, the arbitrator clarifies the arguments and proposes suggestions for resolving disputes, ensures that all group members have a chance to participate and learn, may elicit comments from members if they are not participating. He acts as a cheerleader as well for the group behavior whenever possible, praising members for the work which has been done properly. Now, the next role is of note keeper or timekeeper. A group member performs well the role of note keeper and timekeeper when he takes notes during meetings to keep a record of what has been decided. Tasks that have been assigned when meetings are scheduled, etc. Summarizes discussions and decisions for the rest of the group. Distributes a summary of each meeting to all group members. Present group material to the rest of the group members. His responsibility is to keep track of time during meetings to avoid spending excessive time on one topic. This is best handled by deciding how much time will be allocated to each issue in the agenda and letting everyone know when this time is up. It is also useful to point out when time is almost up so that issues can be wrapped up appropriately. Devil's advocate. This is the next point to be discussed. A group member acts as a devil's advocate when he expresses conflicting opinions and forces the groups to fully discuss all the alternatives. The opinions of the devil advocate challenge the group consensus and thus may hinder quick group decision making and group identity. He remains on guard against groupthink scenarios. Groupthink is a phenomenon when the pressure to reach the group goal is immense that the individual members surrender their own opinion to avoid conflict and view issues solely from the group's perspective. So, the devil's advocate ensures that all arguments have been heard and looks for holes in the group's decision-making process in case there is something overlooked. He keeps his or her mind open to problems, possibilities, and opposing ideas, and serves as a quality control person who double checks every detail to make sure errors have not been made and searches for aspects of the work that need more attention. Keeps an eye out for mistakes, especially those that may fall between the responsibilities of the two group members. The job can profitably be given to one of the most qualified group members and may sometimes rotate from person to person. In other cases, it may be useful to invite an expert or another qualified individual who is not a regular member of the group to the decision-making meetings to give his or her inputs. Dear learners, in this session, we learnt about the meaning of performance, group performance model, ways to improve group performance, and about maximizing group performance through group roles. This is all for the session on group performance. Thank you.